Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Hope you are here because you watched one of our previous videos or subsequent videos and decided it was time to come back and watch this video. Last video we did was an introduction to Excel. It's a great place to start if you are new to Excel or kind of want to become more familiarized with the different parts of the Excel worksheet. Let's go ahead and talk about creating our first Excel workbook. And so basically, depending on how your Excel is set up, in my case, I have it set up down here on my menu. So I'm just going to click on it from my taskbar and it'll go ahead and open up Excel. If not, you can do it from your Windows menu, or you can do a search in your computer, assuming you have Excel installed. Now, Excel is also available on the cloud. So there isn't a Microsoft 365. Opening it will be a little bit different, but once you get in there, most of the functionalities are pretty compatible. We're going to go ahead and create a blank workbook. Okay, and we've talked about the different areas. Remember, up here we have the tabs. This is called the ribbon area, and the quick bar up here, customizable depending on your settings. We've got our columns that are letters and our rows that are numbers. So what we want to do is we want to go ahead and just start typing, right? We're going to start by typing month, and we're going to do in the column B, we're going to call that projected sales. Okay, so it's two sets of data that we'll be doing. And for months, we're going to go ahead and do January. And then I want to basically go January to December, right? So I could type everything over, but Excel has this feature that's essentially called the fill handle. And so when I select the January, and I know it's selected because I've got the green box around it, the column A and the row 2 have been highlighted. It also shows here in the name box that this is A2. If I hold my mouse cursor over that little fill handle box, and it becomes like a target, narrows across. If I left click that, I drag it down, it'll continue that sequence for me. And just by doing that, it dropped all the other 11 months in there for me. So great little trick on there. Let's go ahead and do our sales at $10,000 a month, right? So that's for the month of January, but our sales are expected to grow every month, right? So let's go ahead and say, okay, well, let's do a very simple formula that says equals, let's refer to that $10,000, right? So we don't want a couple things. In Excel, we tell it that we want to put in a formula by putting in a number like equals, right? So equal will tell Excel to do some kind of calculation for us. So we wanted to tell it is that we want this to be equal to B2, and I know that the address for that was B2. It's not the only thing I can do. I could also click on B2 and it'll bring it into my formula, and it puts it into my formula text box here. And I'm going to say, okay, I want that to equal B2 times, and I'll use the asterisk, 1.02, and that will take the number above and increase it by 2%. So the 1 for 100%, the 0.2 for the 2% increase. And I can click on that quick fill again, drop that down. All the numbers got added in there for me. Okay. And so as we can click on any of our formulas, and we see that Excel automatically used the row above in the calculation. So every single row is 2% higher than the row below it. And later on in other areas, we'll talk about how, well, actually we can do that right now. So I'm going to show you that is the default Excel status. But however, I can also tell Excel that I don't want you to do that. And so notice what I did is just copied that cell from left to right, and it automatically copied the column over here, it changed it to C. And now, let's say I don't want to change the 10,000. I want to always base it on 2% of the 10,000. And when I drag that down, all the numbers will be 1,200. Okay, that's just one way of doing it. I'm going to hit Control Z because I am undoing that. It's not part of the lecture, but just want to show you that there is a way of setting an absolute in Excel, and that's by adding the dollar symbol to it. That would anchor either the column or the row. Both anchors will anchor a particular cell in Excel. More on that in future lectures. This isn't very nice, so let's go ahead and do some formatting here. We can go ahead and select all our data. We can say, okay, well, these are supposed to be numbers. So under the Home tab, I went to the numbers part of the ribbon, and I selected just the accounting format, accounting number format, and it automatically did all that for me. These decimal points, are they relevant? No, probably not. So I can actually click on the decrease decimal. And by decreasing the decimal, those decimals got shrunk. So what else can I do? Well, I can format the width of my column to accommodate the number formatting. And that's simple. I put my cursor over the little line between the two rows, double click it, and it will auto fit the column. I can do the same thing on the width, double click it, and it'll auto format the width of, or the height of that row. This isn't very pretty. We can make this a little bit prettier, right? We can go ahead and bold and underline. We can center our data to make it look better. But there's other things that we can do. Excel has a built-in feature that will let you turn this into a table. So I'm going to highlight my table, highlight my information that I care about, and click on the Insert tab. Under the ribbon, under Tables, I'm going to click on Table. And Excel is going to bring in a table that is anchored, so the dollar sign from the top left to the bottom right. And so that $A, $1, $B, $13 anchors that top and bottom, and it says, well, yeah, my table has a header because now the month and the projected sales are a header. They're describing the information that's below. Click OK, and look at that. It has essentially changed the way that the table looks, right? Now, what else did it do? Well, it added a couple of different tabs, and it added a tab that is unique or dynamic or conventional to the fact that we have a brand new tab, right? And so this tab didn't exist before. Well, it does now. So that ribbon, that it's a contextual tab. It's contextual because we're in a table, so there's different types of table formatting that we can do that's unique to tables. So under the ribbon, there are table styles that we can do, and we can simply do something like, let's do a totals row. And just by clicking on that, it updates the total. The beauty of that, if we come back and we change a number, all of the other numbers changed, including the total for us. And so the beauty of this is that we can change one number and all the other data will update for us, right? That's the thing. We can turn on and off the banding depending on how you want. If you're not going to use filters, you can turn those on or off. What's the benefit of the filtering? Well, you can say, okay, well, you know what? I want to sort sales from largest to smallest. Oh, you know what? That didn't work because my numbers were stored as formulas, not as hard-coded numbers. So you got to be careful what you do when you do certain formatting. But under the filtering, you could actually filter out for a particular month or 2 months, and your totals will continue to change, right? So I'm going to do a couple of undos here to get me back to where my file was originally. Okay. So that's one way of formatting a table. This is a very, very simple Excel file that we're doing, but it's simple enough where we want to show off a little bit more. So let's go ahead and add a table to this, right? So we're going to go ahead and select our table. And we're going to go back to the Insert tab. And this time, we're going to insert a recommended chart. And we have different options available to us. I'm going to select the second one, which is the clustered column chart or a bar chart. And I'm going to basically hit OK. And look at that. It has now created a table. But we've got 2 contextual tabs that have also populated, one for chart design and one for format. And so those are there, which will allow us to do different things. Also under the chart tab, we can change data, we can switch rows to columns, we can change the chart type depending on our preferences. We can move it to a standalone. We have some quick layout features, and you can kind of preview those to see how they will look. We can also add chart elements, and so some of this is available to us. However, we can also get to that. There's this little green plus that populates up here, and we can add things as simple as a trend line. And it'll take a trend and add a trend line to our numbers. Now, this trend line, it is kind of funky because we used a flat percentage, but if I change the data, my trend line, then you can see the changes in my trend line. And so the trend line gets updated based on the data that's in the projected sales, okay? So things that you can do. Last thing that I want to talk about, since this is your first Excel worksheet, we want to go ahead and save this, right? And so we want to give it a name. My first Excel file. Save. Remember where you saved it, and you are now done. We know that this file has been renamed. We see the name up here. We can click the big X to cancel us out and get us back to our desktop. So hopefully that was useful to you. If it was, please continue. We'll have more videos available to you on different areas. The next video we'll be we'll talk about entering and editing data into your worksheet and start getting data into that file. So hopefully this was useful to you. Hope to see you in the future.